20 seconds. HJ.
Tēnā koutou katoa, no mai hoki mai ki the Fourball, brought to you by Kiwi Golf Club. I'm PJ Campbell. Joining me tonight, as usual, we have Mr. Bond, Cameron Jones Golf, and is that you, Peter? Peter, is that you? No?
Needs to unmute himself. First rule of podcasting.
Yeah, bro, unmute yourself now.
I was waiting for Peter to jump in. Sorry.
How are we, boys?
Yeah, good, man. Good. How are you?
Yeah. Well, you don't sound very good. That was a very downer response. But
Go to someone else.
For everyone that is tuned in tonight, you can comment below, ask us some questions, get involved with the podcast and the conversation. But to properly introduce the bro, we have Dion joining us tonight. We were meant to have Luke Taylor, who did that little kind of there. I should turn it on, but it is pretty bright and it does blow out quite a bit. So I'll get a dimmer and that should be back next week. But D, thanks for joining us, bro.
Oh, thanks for having me. Always keen to jump into a 3-ball, so thank you very much.
And make it. Keep letting you say that, bro.
Don't start. We'll start the show how we usually start. We'll do a mental wellness check-in. We'll start with you, D, with your first time being on the pod. How you feeling, man?
Ready to go for, I think, what has been officially stated as step 1 in level 3 transitioning to level 2. Does anyone really know? But yeah,
we'll see.
I think I'm okay. I think.
All right, Bondi.
Yeah. I think I'm much the same as D. Level, what is it? 2.96. I'm calling it. It's great. I'm so ready for it. I'm ready to get out there tomorrow and do the exact same almost.
Yeah, you've been working hard.
Oh, yeah. I lie through it. I can say that I'm really upbeat about it.
Cam Jones Golf?
No, I'm all good, bro. All good. Nearing the end of this 75-day challenge. So I'm looking forward to Saturday. It actually wraps up. So I'll be swapping out, as of next week, I'll probably be swapping out this Lobros organic lemon lime bitters kombucha, mate, for a nice purple Pals. Looking forward to that. Shout out to the boys at Pals. But all good, mate. All good. Just getting ready for, I think tomorrow we may or may not be able to start coaching. That's the word. I can't really comment on it too soon, but yeah, looking forward to getting back out there. And I've been playing a little bit of golf as well, but I think ready to rip into the coaching again. Eh?
Nice.
What about you, brother?
I'm not going to lie. I struggled yesterday.
Yeah.
I struggled on the basis of I don't really know what I got out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it sort of stressed me out a little. And I wasn't okay, but I'm okay.
Oh, well, there's no right or wrong way to do lockdown, mate.
Yeah, man. Like I managed to work my way through it, and we're good now, and we're back here with the Fourball. So let's get into the rest of the show. Drinks. I've gone with sponsor. I've only got one left. I've only got one left. Sorry, Ash.
And they're in shipping at the moment, I believe.
Well, I got mine.
A couple of months.
Oh no, I've got the tracking number. I've got it 24/7 on the desktop, so I know where they are. I got the orange juice and rum there. That's gone quite well. I think I finished as much rum as I could, trying to understand that report as well. So last night, so yeah, it's still going good.
Nice.
That's the way.
Cam Jones, we got yours. You got that
yeah. Yep. This one's probably my favorite though. Lobros lemon lime bitters. It tastes like the real thing. Whilst being good for your gut health as well. So I'm happy with that. But what about you, D?
I'm just keeping it clean with the Zero Canadian Club, mate.
Okay.
Just going soft, just easing into the first 4-ball.
Yeah, right.
Go hard or go home, bro. Go hard or go home. We have a new member, Bondi. we have a new KGC member. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a new KGC member. We're just reaching out there. Reese Williams, welcome to the team. Avid
Reese?
Jimmy Hyde supporter. He joined up after the podcast the other week there with Jimmy on board. So yeah, welcome aboard, mate. Hope you're enjoying your pack. Got your Kiwi KGC hat on.
Yep, and it's compulsory to tune into the podcast every week, Tuesday at 8 o'clock. If you don't, we deduct off your membership, okay? Just saying. Facebook. Who woke up and thought their network was down? Because I did.
Yeah, I uninstalled. Yeah.
Man, I'm like,
what?
Yeah,
did I be out of all the chat?
Yeah. I was like, I'm sure I paid my bill, man. I'm up to date. I'm like, what is going on? I went down to the computer and I still couldn't get on Facebook to check my messenger. I was like, oh shit. Okay. And then I was still getting emails. I was like, okay.
That's the one.
Next step, Twitter.
Yeah.
Let's see what Twitter's doing.
It was low key kind of nice though, eh? Not gonna lie about it, like to be forced to take a break from it.
Yeah.
Even though it was for just a few hours, but it was actually kind of nice, not gonna lie about that.
Yeah. Did anyone else have any mates just text them just because they were feeling a little bit antsy, not messaging anyone? I've got to say that's the most text I've ever had in quite a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Just to chat.
Yeah. No, I got on and I was like, oh man, Messenger's down. I uninstalled Messenger, uninstalled Facebook, went back in. And the entire time I was going through it, I'm going like, but I'm still getting work emails. This is really frustrating, you know. And the whole thing be down, then I'm okay with it. But yeah, I was on the phone, and all of a sudden someone goes, "Oh yeah, it's down." So yeah, it's all good.
James Peter was too busy to worry about that shit.
Yeah, the first 3 hours was pretty productive because it was down, Pete. I think I only sent one text, and outside of that, it was trying to organise the day.
That was to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the most annoying thing was, though, is I had a whole bunch of things scheduled to go out on Facebook and on Instagram, and then I had to, that was a pain for me. Yeah. But yeah,
I imagine there would have been quite a few businesses affected by it. I think somewhere I read, you guys probably saw it as well, maybe, that Facebook lose like $220 million a minute or something for it for being down, which is hectic to think that it can affect people that much or affect them that much, let alone other businesses as well.
Yeah.
Think about where everyone gets their information from now too. Like a lot of us like watch the stream on Facebook, and in this time where it was actually quite uncertain, like after the other night, you're sitting there and you get online and you think, oh, I'll see some sort of an update or a comment that will lead me down a path to work out what's actually going on. And then you can't even get onto that part. So then, I mean, God, I almost had to go buy a paper this morning. Didn't even know what to do with my quarters when I walked down the street.
Quarters? Where are you living? Quarters?
In the olden days.
All right. We'll get into our first talking point. Bondi?
Iron covers.
Iron covers. You want to start there?
I don't know if you wanted to bring it up like that. I thought we were going to ease into it. I mean, I've got an opinion on iron covers. I think I'm probably with the majority. I think it's a very legal thing for you to do, but it makes you look like an absolute psycho when you bust those out. I'm against them. I'm anti. What's the rundown? I'm anti against them. What about D?
Yeah, I'm not a fan, but I'll support those members that have them because there are a couple. So I've got your back.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I used to be like you, Fraser, I think, and have the same view of being, iron covers are for psychos. But when I heard that Aaron Rice story on the European tour from a few weeks ago, that actually changed my tune on them a little bit. And I think it's, golf clubs are expensive things, and if someone's willing to look after them, even though they might look a little bit different, they're prized possessions. It's my tune certainly changed on that. So I'm going to have to disagree with you hard there, Fraser, on that. And D, I wouldn't use them personally, but I won't lie. Growing up, when I got my first set of Titleist 735 CB MB combo set, I had iron covers, the neoprene ones with the numbers on them, and pretty sure I lost half of them within the first few weeks because they always kept slipping down the bag and then falling off, and then I forget to put them back on. And I'm not against them, but I support anybody that wants to keep their tools nice and clean. What about you, Peach?
Before I answer, can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, bro.
Are you against them because everyone else is against them, or are you against them because you made your own mind up about them? You know what I mean? Because I'm against them because that's what everyone else says. You know, because everyone's like, nah, head covers, iron covers are shit. Why have you got them? They look like condoms on clubs, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, you're true, right. So you just go, yeah, they look like condoms on clubs. So, yeah, that's my question to you, boys, is do you have your own reasons for not liking them?
Well, I'm an ex-user, so mine's made up because I have actually just confessed that I once was an iron cover golfer. But yeah.
This is a safe place, mate.
Yeah, an ex-user. That's the way you bring it up. I'm an ex-user of iron covers.
Yeah.
I'm not actually against them. I actually don't personally care, but I love like the meme quality, that you can get out of them.
100%.
It's and into our Kiwi Golf Club chat, I shared one the other day, but from my page. But that's what I really enjoy, and the joke and the laugh. I mean, that Cam was saying that a story with Aaron and how he looks after his clubs because they're expensive and it was the only set he had, and further on like that to me is really cool to see that somebody takes that much care. On the other side of that coin, have you seen how many when you see somebody with iron head covers on but no driver head covers?
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't get that either.
Now I'm lost. All right, what are you doing?
Do you know what? And this is a little tip for those at home. If it's a hot sunny day, take your driver cover off it and actually heats up the middle and the head. More ball speed, ball goes further. That's a free one for everyone at home.
What about your balls?
Put them under the armpit, mate.
Yep.
The armpit. Keep the ball hot. Yep. Just make sure that it's either clean in place or you're on the tee or on the green, because you can't do that in the fairway. For the new golfers that are listening.
What about clean in place? What if you tuck it for about a couple of minutes while you're waiting for your mates to play?
Oh, I actually don't know if that's a rule of golf or not, but
clean in place is okay if you do that.
I'm sure you can put your ball in the pocket, so there's probably no reason. Probably if you're standing there rubbing it like this, trying to get it warmed up.
Just go like this.
I'm confused with this conversation is now going. I mean, if we short bite this for the reels, we're in trouble. All right, that's all I can say.
We've got a comment on here from YouTube. Mr. Chris Steele, what's up, bro? Is it true most places don't give warranty for irons if you use iron covers? I'm not sure about that.
Oh, don't know about that.
If we've got someone working in retail that's listening, chuck it in the comments. I don't know the answer to that. Shit, that's a good question, Chris. He's actually listening from MIQ down in Hamilton, of all places. Good to have you on, Chris. First time listener.
Might have to check that one out. I mean, personally, it might come out of whoever pocket it's going to be on, but you can kind of tell with a club if it's actually cracked, or it shouldn't affect the warranty, in my opinion, because the club's meant to be struck, right? Yeah. I mean, if it's all scratched on the back because you can see someone swung the back side of it at a tee block because they're a little bit upset, that's much easier to work out.
Surely, though, if you're keeping good care of them with iron covers, that's not going to void your warranty. If anything, it's probably going to help you out even more. And we've got Mr. Level Pigs has come to the party there.
Not real. Not real.
Okay. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, and he backed it up with always cover your woods and putter. I agree with you there, bro. 100%.
How good. Yep. Oh, yeah. Another comment in from Level Pigs. I think he's having a laugh. Yeah, I think he might be having a laugh too. But
he must need it in MIQ.
Jesus. Fly in and then you got to sit there for 2 weeks. Be pretty tough. Can't putt for that long.
While Chris is listening, tell us what you're doing in MIQ. Have you got a little any practice areas going on for your golf game or anything, bro?
Ooh. I can actually vouch for him and say that he does. For those that don't know, Chris is one of my best mates, and I know that he's practicing his chipping all hours of the day in there, and he's not really getting any better. But if he's check it up on your Instagram, Chris, if you're listening, and we'll get it sharing on the Kiwi Golf Club Instagram page.
Sounds like here we go.
Yeah.
Short game. Short game. Open
You're
up
not
the
hitting
window.
a driver in there.
Open up the window. Open up the window and send one into the river.
Hard out.
But talking about that, like you've got your iron covers and we sit there, but what's something else and that happens on the course? Because for me, something that's a little bit like weird that I see a lot is the laser coming out when somebody's 20 or 25 meters away from the green.
Yeah, that does my head in.
Like surely there's a better way to act there. But is there anything else that you guys can think comes to mind that you go like you've got to be, you must be having a laugh. There's no way this is something you do for real.
I'll go one more and say when your playing partner gets the laser out and tells you how far it is, but then you grab yours just to double check they're not lying to you.
That's a good one.
I've got a question for you. Would you rather them pace it out, or would you rather them pull the laser out and take half the time?
Hey, just eyeball it.
Yeah, no. If they get I'd rather. I don't know. Maybe it's because when the laser comes out and then they leave it 10 short and then go for the laser again. But if they chip it close, I'm not 20.
It does happen. It
does happen. I mean, I got this idea from a close source. But no, it does actually happen out there. If they chipped it close every time, I wouldn't have. I think someone who paces it out, I'm almost like thinking they're going to chip it in, so I don't really think about how long it takes.
Yeah,
D, what do you reckon, mate?
Like I like to eyeball it, but yeah, and I think if it speeds up pace of play, I think anything that's going to help you just choose a club, play a shot. I think that's probably the biggest thing right now is how long people are taking to actually get something out of their bag. So as long as it's picking up the pace, I'm
I'd love to know. Yeah, I'd love to know for the club golfers out there that if using a laser or just eyeballing it and feeling it in that way actually has any impact on how they score, how they play. Because I know a few players who are playing and scoring at the moment. Like they seem to be scoring really, really well with no flag sticks in the greens and not even knowing where the flags are half the time. So that's an interesting thing for me.
They're taking their expectation of hitting it within this area, right? Yeah. To this area. Like everyone is doing well with no flags, but you put that flag back in front of them and they want to hit this rather than this.
Yeah, I think it's because the target changes. Where I think if you're hitting for the middle of the green, all of a sudden your shotgun spread can catch the sides of the greens. Whereas when the flags are tucked and you go at flags, if you miss that, you're going to be short-sighted. You're going to make bogeys and doubles. But yeah, the analogy that I like to think about in terms of, I love people having all the information, but there comes a point, I think, where if you're playing a game of basketball, how often do you go and measure how far you got to the hoop? Hardly ever. Never, actually. Not even hardly ever, just never. So I think you got to trust your instincts a little bit too,
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I do know a few people that, especially a lot of really good golfers, that would always just shoot the numbers, right? Just try to hit green and red without actually like seeking pins. And I think that's massive for maybe the amateurs game, is to take pressure off them. Wouldn't you agree that just hit the green, and then 5-putt from there? Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy when you think about maybe quite a few years ago, you could actually kind of hit every green in the PGA and putt kind of well, and you'd probably win a few tournaments or whatever. But now you have to be just so good on the PGA and you have to fly it at flags. But for the amateurs, like your club golf, if you just tried to hit the middle of every green, all of a sudden your score would go exponentially better. And I find it funny. Cam's played with in pro-ams and played with a lot of amateurs, and he coaches them and bits and pieces like that too. But you'll sit there and you'll have somebody who's struggling to hit a fairway all day, maybe inside 50 meters, they're struggling to chip it or whatever. And you get to a par 3 and they'll look over to you and go, 7-iron, maybe a little bit of a fade at the pit flag. And you're like, mate, just green's good. Just be happy with that situation. 2 putts, maybe 1 putt because your putting's not terrible, and move on.
Yeah. Level pegs again. Putting is easier than chipping.
Yeah, it sure is. Got a straight face on it, the putter.
Yeah.
The other thing touching on the middle of the green, I think that a lot of people may not think about necessarily is quite often trying to actually carry the ball just over the front edge is probably going to be better for most golfers because they don't really always factor in the fact that the ball runs out as well. But I know that applies to Golf Harbour. Like the amount of members we have that landed in the middle of the green, ball goes out the back. They don't repair their pitch mark because they're not on the green anymore. And then then the golf course suffers for it and their score as well. But yeah, that's my thoughts anyway.
Liking it.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Not too confident there.
Well, the green's bigger than the pin, right? So you've got more chance of hitting the green than the pin.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I think now's probably a good time, boys, to have a bit of an ad break. You boys have a bit of a drink, and I guess this week, I guess what we're going to be pumping the ad for is our Kiwi Golf Club memberships. Fraser already touched on Reese Williams joining up, so welcome to Reese, and just a reminder to everybody as well who's on our private Facebook group to make sure that they also like and follow the public group as well, because I think that's where our podcast is getting streamed to, boys, right?
Yep, and the group too.
And the group, yeah. But I think the more people we can get to the group, the better, because that way it obviously has a bigger reach rather than it being private. And to those people that are wanting to sign up to get a handicap, now that there's going to be a lot more people playing golf, for $200, I think we've got the best value membership pack out there. We get a sleeve of Bridgestones, we get a packet of Neurogum, your Max Golf protein bar, get your Level Pegs tees from Mr. Level Pegs, who's with us tonight online, and then you get a $50 entry into any Kiwi Golf Club tournament that we have, and then you've also obviously got your affiliate membership, so you get those good rates up and down the country. And just on those tees, so one of our new members that we announced a couple of weeks back, Geordie Gibbons, don't know if Geordie's listening, but he got his 30 Level Pegs tees, and he said that that's far too many because they're not breaking, so he's thinks it's a bad call on our behalf, giving away so many.
We're giving them away, let alone the guy selling them. Now all of a sudden the business model there's no good, mate.
I just don't understand how he's making a living down there. But
like a golf ball you can't lose all of a sudden.
Oh, don't worry, your mates will steal them. That's what happened to mine.
Yeah, he is right, Sam, that the tees don't break. But no, great tees. If you haven't checked them out, go check out Level Pegs tees. I reckon they're the best in the biz.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think it's also a good time to mention that if you are someone that listens in and you don't have a membership, signing up to this one is probably the best way to go, because the way things are going with our little COVID world, actually having your data registered with like a handicapping system will actually allow you probably to play going forwards. It's going to become harder and harder for probably non-affiliated players to get onto golf courses as memberships become more full, and we actually need to track that information. So there's a benefit for that, and also you get a discount at most clubs when you play those ones too. So yeah, stop being that person just waiting around and paying green fees. Sign up.
All right, we're moving on. We done with our ads. We paid our
done
bill.
with our ads. Yep, we paid
bills?
half.
All right. Beginner golfers do's and don'ts on the course. Who wants to start with that one?
Start with D.
Oh, ouch.
Our guest.
I'll just start from maybe just check in. I mean, I won't refer too much to what's required under the alert levels, but golfers are notorious for turning up on time or late, or super early. So
there it is.
Yeah, we are probably as inconsistent at making our tee time as our golfers. So I think if guys can maybe just understand that we've got a really tight schedule, we can't sneak people off early, and it's even more difficult to try and fit people in if they are late. So
hard. I've got a question for you, D. So you're out at Formosa Golf Resort. Are you saying that your players don't check in?
Because
Howick is all good.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No, well, I think
set 'em up.
I think everybody experiences it where the third or the fourth person turns up late. But I think it's just we're a bit of a destination, so people are generally super early or late. I mean, for the best part of it, people are on time, but I think one of the do's and don'ts is it's just like maybe just a bit of time management.
Yep.
Because it can
15 minutes before time, right? That's sort of a good rule of thumb. If you're a beginner,
Yep.
turn up 15 minutes before your time to the pro shop. That way,
Yeah.
if there's running a little early, you might get away a little early. And if it's running a little late, you've got some time to up your sleeve.
Yeah, I think if you know where you're going to, maybe just a little bit of research. Some of us are lucky enough to have warm-up facilities, so utilize a bit of, range practice, bit of putting practice. Then you don't feel, so intimidated standing on front of the tee in front of the boys. But
no,
just a bit of time management.
I reckon on your one there, D, I'm just going to touch on that because I think a lot of people see their tee time being 9 a.m., let's say, and then they think, at 9 a.m. I'll make sure I'm there for 9 a.m. Not getting there at 8:45. I know I'm a culprit for that. Like the amount of times I've had a tee time booked to Gulf Harbour for 8:30, and I've got in the car at 10 to 8, and it takes me 40 minutes to get to the course, and I'm just going 1:30 on State Highway 1, trying to get there in time, and I can't stop for a coffee. So, that's a big one though. Fraser can talk to it more than me, but when I was in the shop at Gulf Harbour, like the amount of times people are coming sprinting through the causeway with their bags in both hands, the wife running behind trying to catch up, and they're just yelling at you from halfway up in the courtyard there. So I got a tee time. That's a big one, D. That's a big one for sure.
Yeah. What's your one for you, Cam? What's your
my do is take care of the golf course. I think and there go. I mean, Fraser can touch on his ones, but for me, it's like I like to think of the analogy or the story that I use in my head is if you look after the course will look after you. And I'll be the first one to admit there's been times in the past when I've played tournament golf where I haven't been too kind to the golf course, and inadvertently it's come back and bit me in the bum. But I mean, for new golfers, I think just appreciating the golf course and taking care of it, and making sure that, especially if you're in the bunkers, if you see a footprint, rake it, and just take care of the golf course. I'd say that's probably my do. But yeah, Fraser, let's hear yours, mate.
Yeah, mine's going to be for beginning golfers, and I think everyone who starts out is understanding what speed of play actually means. It's a hot topic, but because you go and play at a great example like Takapuna, you might be able to zip around there in 3 hours, but you might come and play. I'll use Gulf Harbour as an example. It's a 4.5 hour round. Don't take the same rule of thumb of saying I need to finish my golf in 3 hours to every course. When you go to whatever course you go to choose and play, like wherever you go, work out what their expected time is and enjoy that day and that time that you're out there for. And if there's people that are a bit faster behind you, there's nothing wrong with pulling over to the side, give them a wave. You're not there to just knock it out and just run back home and be more stressed about anything else. Take 6 hours out of your day, turn up to the course, spend an hour practicing, have a coffee, play golf, have a beer, maybe a snack, and go home and really enjoy it.
I agree with that.
Agree with that.
Yeah.
nice.
Make time to enjoy the day, right? You just got to make time.
Yep.
Talking about a 3 hour round at Takapuna, I'd love to play in 3 hours there, mate. On a weekend, that place can take forever.
So I mean, when you're first out in the morning, you can get around there quick. I mean, I can play Gulf Harbour in under 2 hours. After I did all those holes in one day, 130 holes in a day. Yeah. I mean, that showed how fast you could play a course.
Do you remember that? Remember that time we jumped in a cart? We had a cart each, Fraser, and we played 18 holes in like an hour 40.
Yeah, it was actually one of the best rounds I shot too.
I know. Like the thing is, like you think that playing real quick is going to hurt your game and deteriorate it, but it actually, for a lot of people, will probably help and reduce the overthinking side of it.
Yeah, you don't have time to think.
And it's pretty fun when it's like you're in a go-kart. It's like, all right, sweet, let's go, and then you just hit and walk. But PJ, let's hear yours, mate.
Yeah, just on what you were just talking about, Cam, myself and Dee did that Cancer Society fundraiser.
Famous phrase, yeah.
Yeah. We had a card each, and we got around Howick in like an hour 15, hour 20.
Yeah.
I think it was. Man, it was so good. We played half decent too. But before I get to mine, I just want to pick up on what Sean has said. Speed of play isn't only about learners or new to golf. So he's saying some players are guilty of playing slow too. And Steve Watkinson, Toe Tuckle, Fraser Bond, LOL. We see you, Steve. We see you. My one will be just be nice.
Okay, Jacinda.
Whoa.
Somebody's got to preach the message now that we're in 2.96. We don't have a be kind action in these guidelines.
Be nice, because the amount of shit that we have to put up with, man, as staff, and we're not the only ones. There's other professions that require this tip as well. But yeah, just be nice to your operations managers, your greenkeepers, your fellow players, and then should be all good. That's me, boys.
Yeah, there's a good point to that. If you're a beginner golfer, this relate actually probably to other club members as well. Build a bit of a relationship with your pro shop staff or your club pro there. I mean, it's worked for hundreds and hundreds of years, and small bribes throughout the year would really help you get a few things across the line. Maybe a couple of extra tee times here and there. Maybe a couple of golf tips and a bucket of balls. You never know. I don't do those things because I don't give things away like that. But it can't hurt to try. So, yeah. Bribery. It's worked for years, and it's a golf club. You might as well take it on.
It's amazing how that. It's amazing how that 8:06 Saturday tee time's always booked, right? Always.
Must
Look
be
at the
a
fine detail. It's the same members.
Yeah. Not at my club. No.
Or us.
No. Or for most of them.
All right. Moving on. We want to talk about swing speed. Why are we talking about swing speed, Bondi?
Well, Bryson. This is it. Bryson is out there. He is competing on the world stage of not PGA action. Is actually long drive, and he's not making a fool of himself. He's actually doing some good things out there. Yeah. So I think swing speed was the way that we sort of brought that up. I think there was a few comments on the Facebook page, and just to see how that affects your golf. I mean, we've got some varying swing speeds in our Fourball here tonight. So yeah, maybe Cam, give us a little update on swing speed affecting like yourself or affecting the players out there that you coach.
Well, I mean, that actually is a good question. I've been marking a lot of assignments talking about one of the ball flight laws, which is speed. But I mean, if you're trying to hit it far and want to dominate the golf course, I think distance certainly helps, but you don't want to be giving up any accuracy in that regard. But I don't think there's any right or wrong swing speed. I think it's just being able to manage what your speed is, because I think that obviously is going to influence how far the ball goes. And hitting into greens, like swing speed is obviously, I mean, it is important, but it isn't at the same time. It's just more about trying to actually manage your speed just so that you can manage the distance that you're trying to hit the golf ball. But with driver, just get it out and bombs away. As long as you're not having penalty shots or wasted shots in trees with driver, I think, yeah, you're better off being 60 meters hitting out of the rough than 110 meters hitting from the fairway. I think there's some interesting stats on strokes gained that can sort of back that up and say for the most part, players that are hitting 60 meters out of the rough, on average, will hit it closer than, say, 110 meters from the fairway. So that's an interesting one for me. But, yeah, I think driver, try and bomb it, smash it as far as you can. But then I think with your irons and your wedges, don't necessarily go looking for more speed, but being able to control your speed, I think, is an overlooked skill that not many people practice.
Yeah, I think I like to use balance personally as a bit of an example of how to control that swing speed. Like, I've got no problem with swinging it as hard as you can, but generally you watch anybody swing fast, especially a club golfer, because they want to get on the back of a bit get it a bit further out there. And the posture kind of goes, the balance sort of goes, the shoulders start wobbling around, and not everything works in time. That's how I'd sort of describe it to people out there. If you've got decent balance, you can generally swing it faster. But that takes time to build. You can't just wake up with it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Even talking about balance as a as like an in-swing principle, right? Which is something that people harp on about having to have good balance. Like it obviously helps, but I think if you do have poor balance, don't think that you can't be a good golfer doing that. Like I think there's enough players on the tour, let's say like Scotty Scheffler for me is like probably the most recent example of that. Like that guy's feet move all over the place. Looks like he's about to break his back going through the ball. Like he's falling back. He's like all sorts of things are going on, but he's highly skilled at what he does, even though some people might say he's got bad technique, and a lot of coaches might try and change that. He's still very, very proficient at what he does. And Bubba Watson's probably another one, 2-time Masters champ.
Matt Wolff.
Like there's lots of examples of it, but I think you're right, Fraser. You don't want to be swinging so hard that you don't hit the center of the club face. I think that's probably that's one way to sort of wrap it up. But what about you, Dee? What are your thoughts on swing speed, mate?
I think we're all very similar. Maintaining a bit of discipline, and then by keeping it simple, see the ball, hit the ball. I mean, you've just got to apply a bit of balance, and but I'm all about trying to crush it. Otherwise,
otherwise, what's the point?
We wouldn't be true to the game. And I think when you see so many tour players being able to achieve that, and even new to golf, I think a lot of us physically can achieve a lot more than probably what we're applying. But it's being able to put all those principles in their place. But yeah, I'm a supporter of maintaining balance. But man, if you can watch the ball the whole time and just load up, why not?
Get after it. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Cam? And it's about you were talking about speed and your irons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to change speeds with your irons and stuff? Talk about that.
Why would you want to? I guess it's more about let's say you got like a half or 3/4 shot hitting into a green, or you might be hitting into a strong wind or a crosswind, or that kind of thing where you're trying to control the spin rate. I think if you slow your swing down, obviously there's going to be less club head speed, less ball speed. And if you strike it properly, there's going to be a reduced spin rate, which could hold its flight better in the wind as well. But yeah, I think if you can learn to, let's say, I think one thing I like challenging players on, and even myself as well, is if you've got like 130 meters, which, well, let's say 135 marker, because that's a pretty common distance. Everyone knows what they hit. For me, 135 is a 9-iron. But if you can learn to hit like your 8-iron and your 7-iron, also 135, and then that's heading out of the first cut of rough, bit of a flyer, boys. But no, if you can learn to hit at 2 or 3 clubs the same distance, then you've just got more shots in your arsenal. And I think all it is just a matter of practicing it. In the same vein, and I wanted to say it before, but I forgot to, was if you're going to hit the ball hard, I think it's really important that you practice hitting the ball really, really hard, because I think a lot of people jump onto the first tee or onto the golf course and they just try to smash it without actually having done any sort of training on that. And the example or the story that I heard was when Danny Lee won the 2008 US Amateur at Pinehurst. I don't know if you guys can remember any of that footage, but if you go back onto YouTube, chuck in Danny Lee 2008 US Amateur, have a look at how hard he was hitting his driver, because he needed the distance over there, but also how straight. And then the word on the street that I heard was that he was hitting balls on the driving range like that. So he was specifically training in that way so that he could then perform on the golf course like that. Like he wasn't just being unrealistic about his expectations. He actually trained for that. We've just witnessed that in this like modern sort of over the last year with Bryson, right?
Yeah. You've got to. You remember how fat he was when he came out of that lockdown series? Like you remember, like he put on and he's like, "I'm just getting big. I'm going to hit it miles." And there's that, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's stupid. You're being ridiculous." And now look at it. You're looking at him and you're going like, "How straight does he hit it? And how far does he hit it?" But that's all he's done. I mean, he's done other things. Obviously, he's practiced his putting too, because he's not terrible at that. That's
often overlooked with him, is how good he is at putting.
How good he is at putting, but that's all he trained for. And that's, what is that now? Like a year and a half, it must be, of dedicated training of just hitting it massive.
Yeah.
Since it was kind of after our lockdown sort of a thing. So, it makes a big difference. But it takes time. Like you can't go to the range, hit a full bucket of balls at full speed on Wednesday, then turn up on Saturday and go, that's what I'm going to do again.
Well, I think on the training side of it, you got to think over 18 holes. You're probably only going to hit, or you're hopefully only going to be hitting maximum 14 drivers. You might have a few short holes where you don't hit driver. So in terms of or reloading if you have to do that. But in terms of if you do allocate a portion of your practice to trying to smash a few, like treat it like a gym set. Like you don't want to just be going and hitting 100 of them at full speed, because your body's going to start to fatigue and your movement patterns are probably going to diminish a little bit. But just portion a little bit of your practice to doing that, and then I think if you do that, take it to the golf course, you'll be away laughing.
Sweet. We've got a comment here from Mr. Dan Crook. He should know something about hitting long balls. Kyle Berkshire talks about that this week. He hits 50 balls as hard as he can. He said they shouldn't go straight, training the nervous system to cope with that speed. Yeah.
I mean, there's a I think it was Sean Foley. I heard him say something about, like, I'm a big advocate for doing slower speed trainings as well. Even for, I guess, when it's learning a new movement pattern or a new technique or anything like that, there's been proven studies to say that learning the skill it performs better if you do it at a slower speed or even break it down into parts. But he said it's really important to not do every single one or every single golf swing at that speed, because your nervous system starts to get used to that and thinks that that's the new norm. So I think just having a plan when you go to the range and supplementing some slow speed swings with some normal speed swings with some with some really, really hard swings with your driver, if that's what you're wanting to trying to achieve, then I think that can work really well. But I think taking it into the next segment, boys, if you guys want to come back on the screen and join me here.
Right.
The next that was quite interesting doing that. But the next segment we wanted to get into is training aids, and there's so many out there. I've got a pretty strong opinion on them. But I guess if you boys want to get started, PJ, tell us about training aids, and if you use them, what are you using, mate?
I'm gonna be honest, bro. I do not use any training aids. The only training aid that I currently have is an alignment stick. That's all I have in my bag, and that's all I've ever used. I've never really explored options with training aids. I know there are a shitload out there, but they are also very expensive.
For sure, bro. So, any reason why? You don't use any training aids?
Just my lack of time to practice, to be honest, man. I'm not gonna lie. I've got a job. I've got 3 kids.
That's why you should be using them. That's why the lack of time is what we tell everybody. You don't have much time to practice. Use this training aid, mate. Buy that. PJ's gone, nah.
It'll make you better immediately.
Yeah.
I just haven't really had time to look into them, explore them, and drill wise, I probably use the towel.
Yeah.
To keep connected.
Left arm or right arm?
Under both, just to keep connected. But yeah, that's about it, man. Like, I've never really gone down that road.
It's like a hamster wheel, bro, training aids, but that's my opinion. Anyway, Fraser, you go, bro, before I go off on a tangent here.
I've got to ask BJ a quick question about his alignment sticks. Do you just use them like on the ground for like body and feet alignment, or do you do the one where you stick it out on the ground in front of you to try to get the ball start left or right?
No,
or anything like that? Or
alignment, and I chuck them in the club so I know where everything is. Like in the butt of the club.
In the butt of the club.
Like a kind of peg to ball point, so I know where it's all kind of going. That's
work out kind of like a plane sort of a thing. Yeah.
I tend to get real flat. So
yeah, okay. No, I'm actually a fan of like training aids. So we've got quite a few that I use, but I'm really cautious on how I use them and which ones. Like I'd have at Gulf Harbour now, I probably had like 20. But then we had Bob McDonald actually join us, who's a great coach.
Training aid king.
Oh, like literally, he's probably got 100. He put my set to shame. Like, And he's even got ones that he's like built himself. He's like, yeah, I made this like 40 years ago. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's cool. Can I use it? He goes, yeah, sure, no problem. But, I've been using those all the time. And it's you got to be careful on who you give it to and how it's applied. Because I think a training aid, you see something and you go, oh, that will stop me slicing it because that's what it is. But it can actually ruin your golf. So, yeah, I think every training aid is a tool. And I'd even put in something like, I'd kind of sneak in like TrackMan and Flight Scope as a bit of a training aid on the top end. And it's a tool that those top players and even us, which we use for fitting and stuff now and coaching, use. So you've got to actually take the time to actually know why you're using a training aid and understand the next step of once you've finished using that training aid and it's taught you whatever you're meant to learn, what's the next one do you go to? Or do you go back to the same training aid and exaggerate that feeling over and over again? So that'd be my opinion on training aids. They're good, but get a coach to tell you if they're good or not. So, yeah.
Yep, fair comment. D?
Probably similar to you, Peach, where I haven't gone out there and relied on a lot of training aids. I like to use alignment because two things. I come from a surfing background, so I like to move off the ball a lot to shift that weight and try and find energy and power from other parts of my body. So I find myself, I lose alignment pretty easy. And then I've got a really strong left eye. So I use a putting mirror and alignment tools on the putting green. But outside of that, for myself, it's just maintaining alignment to my target and just some alignment issues on the putting green. And then, the odd TrackMan or Flight Scope. I think they're very useful, Fraser. I agree with you to be able to get some data and some feedback because I think it puts a lot of perspective on going back to swing speeds and utilizing, modifying your swing speed from the tee to your wedges. I think can be massively useful.
That application part is, I had a Perfect Putt as a putting training aid and tool that I was using that I was absolutely in love with. Like I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. You put it down on the ground, you get it all set up. It doesn't take long at all, and you release every golf ball off it, and it will go down the same line, same track every time. And you can just set up the perfect putt. Essentially, that's what it rolls like. Yes. And I was using it always. And then all of a sudden, I did a Paul. I can't remember his last name. Paul Harrington.
Paul Harron.
Paul Harron, sorry. Paul Harron, I did one of his classes. It was 4 years ago now, 3 years ago. And he talked quite a lot about spin, which is, without getting too technical, your putter spins, backspin, just a touch, and creates a bit of a skid. And how with my training and my tool, just kept releasing the golf ball and didn't create that skid factor that's so important when you're actually putting. And all of a sudden I went from loving this thing to going, I can only use it for a little bit because then I've got to take that factor into a piece of it too. So it's very easy to fall in love with something, but you got to keep learning and keep progressing in each area. So
Nice.
Training aids, man, strong opinion as a coach full time.
There's a time and a place for them for sure. Like I've used quite a few over my playing career. Gravity Fit would be one that I use quite a lot. Another one that I started using quite a bit was over the last couple of years at various times, depending on whether I felt my swing needed it, was the one with the ball that has a rope that you wear around your neck and you wear it in between your arms just to help with arm structure in the backswing. But don't really use them all that often anymore. For me personally, I prefer to play the game. I think they're called the Tour Striker training aid, that one there. But I think now, you guys talked about the data stuff and the flight scopes and the TrackMans and stuff like that. But I think the big thing is just a good old fashioned practice plan and keeping track of how you're actually going in training. And I'll put it, I'll mention it again here. The Circles platform that Institute of Golf have created, I think it's probably the best out there for that in terms of measuring how you're performing actually in training. And that's, it's kind of just like following a gym routine where you have a set number of practice things tasks that you've got to go and complete, and then you just go and do it. Because I think the thing with practice, training aids in general is that, for players that I coach, like I do prescribe some of them to my players, but it's important that they know what the use of them actually is and where they're actually trying to get their golf swing, because it's very, very easy to just go off on a complete tangent and use them either too much or in the wrong way, which can then have adverse effects. So, I think as long as you've got a really good understanding on why you're using them and when you should be using them, I think they definitely serve a purpose. But what really, I think if you boys want to come back up on the screen here, and I'll segue this into the next bit, which is, and I tell you what, it's far easier talking when there's somebody to actually get some back.
No. We've been talking in the background. We're not gonna go there. We're gonna go somewhere else.
Okay.
But before we do go somewhere else, I just want to pick up on Hutter's comments, saying some of my mates' golf swings over the last KGC days, over the last few KGC days, and don't think they need training aids, but they definitely need first aid help.
Hutter's.
And to wrap up that one, I talked about how expensive training aids were, and then D came in with him using Flight Scope and TrackMan. So, shock, bro.
Work out on a loan package, mate. We'll get you sold. Don't you worry.
Christ. I'm gonna have to sell one of my kids to get one of those.
Hey, PJ, should we get to the question there from Marco Kadiang, talking about? He said, currently I couldn't use the driver in the woods. The longer the club, the greater the slice. Haha. So I settled for 5-iron. I hit it 200 meters with it the other day. Do you think getting more confident with the shorter clubs will help me with the driver when I pick it up again? Fraser, do you want to answer this?
I think it's a hard one. For me, I would say no. I think it's a different club that's in your bag. The driver is struck differently. Like you swing up on it a little bit generally. That's what you should be actually practicing with and hitting. And just go to the range and try and bang out that slice by flaring a million right until you learn how to turn it over left. But personally, you've got to use the woods to get better with the woods. You can't just rely on an iron.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, because I think a lot of people have the impression that your driver swing and your iron swing are the same, and that you can have the same swing feels, the same swing thoughts, apply the same drills to your irons and your drivers, but the driver swing is so different to an iron. The fact that it's sitting, 2-3 inches up off the ground as opposed to on the ground, angle of attack's way different. The driver swing's more of a hitting swing, where I think you can get away with being a bit more dynamic and trying to smash it. But I think it's something that you got to almost treat it a little bit differently to your irons at times. There's going to be some things that might feel and look the same with your driver and your irons, but there's always going to be, there's going to be some subtleties that I think have to be learned. I don't necessarily think that the same. I mean, if you want to take the same level of confidence to the driver, like there's no reason why you can't be confident going back to the driver. But I think it's just understanding that there are some subtle differences between the two clubs. So, like Marco, who asked that question, I actually know him. He's one of our boys at Gulf Harbour. That's if you're still listening, Marco, that's something that we can jump on the range and try and sort out when we can start coaching again.
Book him in. Send the invoice. Mate, you're going to be good, Marco. We'll get you club champs, mate. Cam will see you.
I actually, I owe him an on-course lesson. So we'll do that as soon as we can.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice. We're pretty much at 55 minutes, boys. So last topic, very quickly. Christmas is soon. What do we get a golfer that has everything? Very quickly.
Beers.
Yep. King. Yep.
Done.
Yep.
For me, there's two ones I love to always push out there to our club members and also the wider golfing community. One, you could actually tackle with getting your golfer like a lesson with their local club pro. No one reaches out and buys themselves a lesson probably often enough, so it's a good way to do that. And it gives back to the club and that professional with inside your community. The second way is actually buy somebody like a rounder golfer, probably a club they've never been to. And don't always think that it needs to be the most expensive club. Like, it's beautiful to go and play like Cowrie or Cape or the hills down in Queenstown, Jacks Point. But what you could do is say if it was like Auckland, you could buy them 3 rounds at local courses that they've never played, and actually get them to experience some different local ones around their area. So, I mean, you could go like Clark's Beach in Auckland, Waipu, Southhead, and all of a sudden that's like, what, $80, $90, and they've got 3 rounds of golf? Like, what a phenomenal present to give to somebody. I mean, that's 12 hours minimum of experience, or 3 days experience for them to go around and play. And those are 3 nice little tracks that if you haven't played, I'd recommend going and playing them quickly once we open up.
Yep. D?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of getting somebody some lessons. Like you, Fraser, I don't think enough of our members sort of reach out for help, and that's why a lot of club pros are there to help, not just operate the club. So I'm just a big fan of dive into some lessons. They're going to save you so many shots.
I'm going to go next. Get a golf for one of these. You can get them at Neon Signs NZ.
Yeah,
you can jump on their Instagram page. I'll pull it back to me.
That was previously like we just went full screen. If you're listening in, we went from a PJ normal sized head to eyeball as he showed off his new neon sign, which is very cool.
I just had to focus in on that because it's quite bright. I need to get myself a dimmer. But shout out to Neon Signs NZ. They've got a Kiwi Golf one coming, Kiwi Golf Club neon sign coming. They hooked Caddy Batch up with a sign. I believe Cam Jones is getting the sign as well. So a huge thank you to Neon Signs NZ. But yeah, these are pretty cool. I reckon get a golf for one of these.
they look sick, man.
Yeah.
I can't wait till I get mine.
Yeah, that's my thing, boys.
Nice, bro. Nice. So I guess that's me. What did you get something for Christmas? I like what Dan Crook had to say. Lessons with me if you want. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. There's far better things to spend your money on than that. I don't know. I think you can never go wrong with a few boxes of nice golf balls to play with. I mean, a lot of people play a lot of golf over summer, over that Christmas period. So good old fashioned couple of dozen balls, whatever your favorite ball is, find out what they like, whether it's your Bridgestones, Titleist, Srixons, TaylorMades, Callaways, like find out what they love and then just go get them a couple of boxes of them. You just can't go wrong, and they're easy to wrap as well, which I think makes it a bit, which makes it a pretty attractive present as well. It's so easy to wrap. So yeah, smash it out, keep it simple, and just get a good old fashioned couple of boxes of balls. That's me, boys.
Good work.
You're right, Bobby.
Yeah, I wanted to have a go at what PJ was doing earlier. I've got nothing to show off, but yeah. What do we go from there? I mean,
bro, we're almost at time up, boys. What are we going to finish with?
Yeah. I know what we can finish off with. A huge congratulations to Peter Van Kampen and Lizzie for the birth of their new child, Pārnapa. So, brother, congratulations. That is one of the reasons he is not here tonight, and one of our other admin, Dion, is filling his shoes, or Luke's shoes actually. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good high to finish up on, boys. I don't know what you boys think.
Great. Yeah, that was awesome. We got a new golfer, definitely Kiwi club member already. If Peter hasn't signed him up, surely it can't be too far away. Enter in the date of birth, mate. 1 month, get his handicap in.
I think if you boys don't have anything else to say, we're gonna. Well, Pete's in the chat at the moment, so he says skull boys for Pārnapa. So
none left in mine. Cheers, boys.
Yeah. Everyone, thank you very much for joining us on the Fourball, brought to you by the Kiwi Golf Club. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be back same time next week. And hopefully with some better news than what we had yesterday. So enjoy your week.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Man, this music's so groovy, eh?
This is what you start the night with. Is that it now?